So good morning to all of you. Can anyone reply? Is it audible? Students, am I audible? Can anyone reply? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, today's class is concerned. We will just do a quick revision of the things what we have discussed in the earlier class. So, students, in Unit 1, majorly we have discussed the job analysis. That is the meaning, definition, and purpose, methods of job analysis. Then we understood the job analysis interviews, job analysis questionnaire, task analysis inventory, then position analysis questionnaire, then subject expert workshops and critical incident technique, right? Then in unit 2, we majorly discussed about the hiring process and hiring decision, wherein we understood about the nature of hiring, that is regular, temporary, full-time, part-time, apprentice, contractual, and outsourcing. And even we are even understood in unit 2 the need analysis, then the cost analysis, and the job analysis. Then afterwards in unit 3, we discussed about hiring internally or internal hiring. Broadly, we discussed about the meaning, the definition of internal recruitment, then advantages and disadvantages of internal recruitment when it comes to cost, time, quality, and suitability. Then even the sources of internal recruitment was discussed. The sources were circulars, intranet, advertisements, then employee referrals, appointment or promotion, policy guidelines, and union settlements. This was discussed in Unit 3. Then in Unit 4, we discussed about the external hiring. In external hiring, we understood the meaning and definition of external recruitment. Then sources of recruitment, external recruitment basically, that is through advertisement or putting in newspaper or television or radio. Then internet, then search on the internet also we discussed, then wanted signboards, then consultants, then employment exchange, then very popularly called as campus recruitment. So what I'm discussing now, that is unit 4, the source of external recruitment, right? Then employee referrals, and finally unsolicited applications. Then we even understood the advantages and disadvantages of internal and external recruitment, as well as we even understood the advantages and disadvantages of each method in internal recruitment as well as in external recruitment. We understood the advantages and disadvantages in terms of cost, time, convenience, then reach of the targeted population, and the quality of the applicant pool. So these were some of the major or the important topics what we have discussed in the earlier units. So the first unit was again job analysis. Then in the second unit we discussed about the hiring process and hiring decision. Then in unit 3 we discussed about internal hiring. Then in unit 4 we understood about the external hiring. Now students, we will move further. It is the last 2 units are concerned. It is the very big units wherein we'll be discussing a lot of concepts. Now the concepts related to what exactly we will be discussing is, we'll be discussing the concepts related to screening the candidates. Then here we will understand the application forms, wherein in detail we will be studying about the biodata, resume or curriculum vitae, that is CV, and even weighted application blanks. So we will understand every method, or each method is concerned. We will try to understand the meaning, the definition, purpose, advantages and disadvantages, then spotting personality patterns, identifying the ingredients of success. Then we will understand the winning candidate's profile. Then what are the challenges in the interview? right? Then the starting point and day-to-day execution and dealing with the people. So these are the broad topics which will be covered or dealt in Unit 5. Now today we will go step by step. We will try to understand what the meaning or the broad meaning of screening the candidates, or why this selection of the candidates play an important role. Now students, selection refers to a process in which individuals are picked up from the pool of job applicants possessing the required KSA. All of you know that: knowledge, skill, and ability. Okay, knowledge and skill that is required to be performed in an organization. Now remember students, while selection, if the HR picks a wrong candidate, so it will be a liability to the organization. He'll not be an asset to the organization, right? So each employee whom they actually select should contribute towards the growth of the team, in turn contribute towards the growth of the organization. And remember students, if the organization is growing, if the organization is growing, then automatically there will be a growth of all the employees, right? So first, what we have to remember here is the organization growth and your personal growth will be in tandem. Okay. Now selection is a process which includes various phases, such as exploring the applicants in order to check whether they are suitable for the job or not, then picking up the right ones from the pool of applicants and eliminating the rest. Therefore students, selection can be regarded as a as a negative process in its application, as its main aim is to reject, remember, reject as many unsuitable individuals as possible, so as to get the right and appropriate candidates for the organization. See, the only objective of this recruitment and selection process is we need to recruit the right candidates for the right job who can better perform or who can outperform in the organization, right? So you as an HR manager, when you are coming for recruitment or when you are in the recruitment and selection process, you should always select the right candidate who will match the KSAs required for your organization, right? Then objectives of selection. So what are the objectives of selection? See, first and the foremost thing is select the suitable candidate. Now, the selection process aims at choosing the most appropriate candidate who meets all the requirements of the position, correct? The best candidate is chosen only after rejecting all the candidates or all the unfit applicants through a systematic process of selection. Now students, already you know some of the systematic process of selection. Some companies, what they do is, the first procedure is what? They'll be briefing about their company. That's called pre-placement talk, right? They'll be briefing about their organization. There will be briefing about candidates' growth in the organization. There will be briefing about the compensation part. Then after that, the company, it depends on the company, right? Some companies directly go for the personal interview. Some companies go for aptitude, they filter. Then in the second round, they do group discussion, they again filter. Then in the third round, they might go for technical interview, again filter. Then finally in the fourth round, they'll go for the personal interview, or we can sometimes call as HR interview, human resource interview, right? So why all these things should be done, students? Because we need, as an HR manager, you should always think that each employee is contributing to the growth of the organization. So selecting the best suitable candidate is very, very important from the recruitment point of view or from the selection point of view. Then you can see the slide over the students. The second objective of selection is what? The verifies applicants' capabilities. Now selection process helps to match the job requirements with the applicant's profile in order to select the best candidate, right? Then the third objective of selection is what? Places the right candidate at the right job. It means selection process helps to choose the right candidate for the right job so that he can contribute his best efforts towards the achievement of the organizational goals, by giving a standard performance as desired. Now, the first and the foremost thing is the candidates should be always energetic, should be always enthusiastic, right? Given any task in an organization, they should be in a position to complete the task in a given time, right? So the candidates or the employees should put their best efforts to achieve the given task in tandem with organizational goals, always giving consistent performance or a better performance or a standard performance as desired by the organization. Okay. Next, generates information about the candidate. That is the fourth objective of selection. Now, when I say generates information about the candidate, students, see, selection also helps in extracting the information regarding the candidate with a view to compare him with other candidates in order to reach a correct decision. See, you only know during campus interviews what happens. You will be competing with each other, right? So your friend who will be sitting beside you in the class, he or she will be your competitor in the placements. So obviously the companies, what they do is, this selection also helps in extracting the information regarding the candidate with a view to compare him with other candidates in order to reach to a correct decision. Obviously, when there is a huge pool of resumes available, so the company HRs will get an opportunity to select the best one out of 100 resumes received, right? So what they do is they do the first level of filtering directly by applying the percentage. That means from 10th to PG, your percentage should be above 70%, right? So why do they do that? Basically, in order to get the best candidates from the academic point of view, right? From the academic point of view, just to check the consistency of the candidates, whether this candidate has maintained the consistency or there is an upward elevation in his academic record, or whether there is a downtrend in the academic record. So they want to basically assess, and then based on that, they will shortlist or they will select a few candidates for the next round. Okay. Next, the fifth objective of selection would be saves cost. It actually saves cost. How we'll try to understand that the match between the right candidate and the job requirement is very crucial in order to enhance the employee's work performance. So any mismatch in this respect can result in high loss to the organization. Correct? So he or she will become what? The liability in the organization. So though they are not performing or though they are not contributing to the growth of the team, so they have to be paid the salary, right? So they'll be like a burden in the organization, right? So any mismatch in this respect can result in high loss to the organization. It can be in terms of money, as I mentioned to you, the monetary cost is concerned, then time. See, if you have unproductive people or unproductive team in the organization, then you will be wasting a lot of your time explaining them what exactly has to be delivered, right? So it can be in terms of money or time and other factors such as cost of training, then cost of operating, some of the other factors. So after understanding the objectives of selection, that is, the first objective is select suitable candidate, then verifies applicants' capabilities, then places a right candidate at the right job, then generates information about the candidate, then saves cost. Manjita, you should be on time. Tejasvi. So after thoroughly understanding the objectives of selection, now we will understand the process of selection. So as everybody know that selection methods determine whether or not the qualification of a job applicant are in accordance with the job requirements. The methods of selection evaluate the performance of the job applicants. Selection methods, which when used in proper sequence, constitute a selection process. Now, when I say students, selection methods, it can be interviews or reference check or selection test or medical examination, like that. Okay. Now you can see the process of selection. So step one, please understand this very important thing. Okay. Step one in the process of selection would be screening of applicants. I will explain you each point in detail, but let me first read out step one to the last step. Okay. So in the process of selection, the first step is what? Screening of applicants. Then the second step would be selection test. Then the third would be selection of the interviews. Then step 4, medical examination. Then step 5, very important, step 5 is concerned, reference check and background verification should be done. Okay, that is a very important step in the process of selection. Then step 6 is concerned, hiring decision. Now, what we will try to do is, we'll try to understand each step in the process of selection in detail. Okay. So first we will take screening of applicants. So screening of applicants includes what? Includes filling up the application forms by the candidate. These application forms contain information about the applicants. It contains basically the information about the applicants, such as personal details or achievements or experience, any, etc. So this kind of information is utilized in order to get the right candidate who is eligible for the vacant position. Correct? So it can be also used for maintaining a permanent record of the candidates who are selected. Correct? After screening all the applicants, only those candidates are allowed for further selection process who are meeting the job requirements and the standards set by the organization. In case, remember this students, the candidates matching the job requirement are more than the vacant position. Remember this, very important. Okay. See, organization goes only for few chosen candidates for further selection process. So what they might do is, suppose if there is a requirement of only 10 for a particular process in the organization, and they found to be more number of candidates, 15 candidates who are actually suitable for that particular process in the organization. So what they do is, out of 15, they will choose the best 10, right? So they will increase the cutoff level, or they will increase the difficulty of the interviews. So out of 15, they might go for 10. So they will exactly match what is the requirement in the organization, right? Now, selection test, that is the second process of selection is concerned, selection test. Now, every organization has its own rules, correct, for the selection process to generate the required information about the candidate, or even to reject the candidate who are not qualified for the interview. So generally what happens, students, selection tests support the information provided by the applicants in the application forms, right? So a selection test may provide useful information in terms of their aptitude or hobbies, personality, which is not possible to get through an application form. So that is what we will design the selection test. So it is, remember this students, each organization or every organization has its own rules for selection process. It depends from organization to organization, or rather than that, it varies from one organization to another organization. Okay. So 1 minute students, I'll drink water, then I'll continue with the third process of selection. Okay, now we'll continue with the third process of selection, that is called as selection interviews. Now, selection tests are followed by a personal interview with the candidate. Remember this, the main purpose of a personal interview is to fully evaluate the candidate for the job. Okay, from 360-degree, you need to evaluate the candidate from the job point of view or from that particular position point of view, right? So it also gives a chance to the candidate to gain all the information about the organization. See, sometimes what happens is a preliminary interview takes place before conducting the test. Then the fourth process of selection would be medical examination. Now, medical examination is performed in order to observe the candidate's endurance or tolerance level under pressure, as there are several jobs which require a lot of patience. Right. So, medical examination evaluates whether the candidate possesses these traits or not. It even identifies the deficiencies of selective and qualitative placement for a positive cause and not for rejection only. It also indicates the suitability of a candidate for a job and prevents his transfer to other job positions. A medical examination is performed to place the right candidates at the right job when when they can function without any kind of ill effect or loss to their health. It is generally performed by the organization's own physician, very important students, or a medical officer authorized by the organization. See, normally this medical examination will be done by uh, entry level at the defense or air force or some of the public sector units, or even some corporates. Now they want their blood group, or they want to have a prima facie, they want to check the health of their employees, whether they have any serious illness earlier, any historical medical conditions are concerned. Even they want to know that, right? If something untoward incident happens in the environment of the organization, then when they open the file, they should be in a position to know, okay, this particular employee has got this illness, historical illness is concerned, so that they can act immediately, right? Then reference check and background verification. Now this is again a very, very important thing which happens with each employee, a fresher normally who will be joining, or even with an experienced guy or a female who will be joining any other organization having some experience also. Now, what is this reference check and background verification? What exactly happens here? See, selection procedure includes this step of a reference check and background verification for the purpose of bringing out more information regarding the candidate. See, organizations request the candidates for some references from whom they can gain some more information. And this information may be concerned with their background, character, working, etc. Right? So these references may include, so from where they get the source, students, from where the organization will get the source, right? These references may include ex-employers of the candidate or people from educational institutions. Say, for example, in your resume, so there is a last thing you will be putting references. So you can put, you will be putting, HOD of the department, Dr. S. Rohit Raj, or Professor Ravi Prakash Fatehpur, or any other faculty member. So what the organization will be doing at the other end is, when you are selected, before you joining the organization, they will be asking us regarding your discipline in the college, or regarding your academic credentials is concerned, whatever information you have given to them, whether it is genuine or no, right? So if they want to know more about an employee or more about you, then probably they'll be even doing the reference or the background checking, because they do not want any external employee or a fresher who will be disturbing the environment of the organization if he is involved in some other activities, some other illegal activities, right? So they will do a thorough background verification to understand the character of that particular individual, right? They will even they will try to send a mail to the educational institutions to find out whether the information given by the fresher who will be joining the organization is genuine or no, or through some other important people who know the candidate's attitude and skills. But normally, students, what we understood here is now it has gained this importance. Now, presently, the importance for this background and verification checking has gained the importance. Earlier in India, especially in Indian companies, they did not give much importance for this particular procedure. But now, presently, a lot of lot of stress has been given for this particular process, that is reference check and background verification. Okay. Then last is, that is the process of selection. The last step is hiring decision, or even approval by the appropriate authority. Based on the above steps, the appropriate candidates are recommended for selection by the personnel department or selection committee, right? So, however, the personnel department or selection committee may hold the responsibility of finalizing the candidate for the job. Sometimes what happens, students, organizations have their own staff to recommend the candidates for final selection by the top management. And generally, organizations assign different authorities to approve the final selection of the candidates. On receiving the approval, the candidates are told about their selection in the organization and are requested to report to the concerned personnel. Right. So these are the steps involved in the process of selection. Let me repeat once again. The first step is called as screening of applicants, then selection test. The third step in the process of selection is selection interviews, then medical examination, then a reference check and background verification. Then finally, that is last step is called hiring decision. So these are some of the steps involved in the process of selection, right? Now, this is very important, students. They might ask you a question, explain the difference between the recruitment and selection process. So these are some of the parameters in which we can differentiate between recruitment and selection. So some of the parameters include sequence, then objective, process, methods, service contract, and result. So we will try to understand each parameter here in detail. So first we will take sequence. Now, when it comes to recruitment, all of you know recruitment is always conducted before the selection process, right? So will you agree with me? A sequence, that is, first comes recruitment, then comes selection, right? So recruitment is always conducted before the selection process. Then how about selection? Selection is always conducted after the recruitment process. Then the second basis of difference, or the second parameter in which I can differentiate between the recruitment and selection would be objective. That is, when it comes to recruitment, students, the main objective of the recruitment is to attract the maximum number of potential applicants in order to get a large applicant pool. See, when I use a large applicant pool, it is more beneficial for the company HRs, right? So they can get the best employee from that large pool. So what is the basic objective here of recruitment? The basic objective is to attract maximum number of potential applicants in order to get a large applicant pool. And the basic objective of selection is, or the main objective of selection is, to choose the best suitable candidate from the applicant pool. So you have to understand here, suppose if XYZ organization, for example, I'm telling you, if it is coming for any college for the placement, and if the placement officer commits that there are 200 candidates who will be appearing for the recruitment process, then actually on the day of interview or on the day of recruitment and selection, if only 50 candidates come, then what happens? The promise what has been made by the placement officer of the college to the company is what? 200, right? Because the basic objective of recruitment is what? Large pool of candidates are required, so that out of that they'll be selecting the best candidates. So the actual commitment from the campus, from the college, from the training and placement officer is 200 candidates. But actually on the day of recruitment, only 50 will turn up. Correct? So it is very difficult, no? So the basic objective of recruitment is what? Is to attract maximum number of potential applicants. And the basic objective of selection is what? Is to choose the best suitable candidate from the applicant pool. Right? Next, the third difference. The third parameter in which I can differentiate between the recruitment and selection would be the process. So what is recruitment? Recruitment, when it comes to process, it is a positive process because it involves the process of generating a large pool of applications. Correct? Whereas selection is concerned, selection, see, out of the large pool is concerned, I am filtering, I am selecting only few. So it's a negative process, right? Because it involves the process which rejects a large number of applicants and only few best applicants are selected for the job. You need to understand this, students. Then the fourth parameter in which I can differentiate between recruitment and selection is methods. So when it comes to recruitment, methods of recruitment are not very comprehensive, and therefore there is no more requirement of persons with highly skilled personnel when it comes to recruitment. Whereas selection is concerned, what happens in case of selection, students? Very specialized methods are required in selection process. Therefore, in this process, only skilled personnel like experts of selection test, right, conducting interviews, etc., are considered. Okay. Next, the fifth parameter is called service contract. Now, when it comes to recruitment, students, service contract is not the outcome of recruitment process. Whereas when it comes to selection, there is a service contract between employer and the selected candidate. Correct? Now, the last parameter in which I can differentiate between the recruitment and selection would be result. See, recruitment result in pool of applications which serve as an input for the process of selection. Always remember, students, a recruitment will serve as an input for the selection. What is recruitment? The objective, gathering large pool of candidates, right? So out of that, what is selection? You as an HR manager of an organization, you will be selecting the best candidates available who will be fitting or who has got the right KSA which will fit to your organization. Correct? So what is the result? That is the last parameter, result is concerned. Recruitment results in a pool of applications which serves as an input for the process of selection. Correct? Whereas selection is concerned, selection process results in the form of selecting the final candidate who will get the job offer. Right? So these are the various basis of difference, what we call, or the parameters in which we can differentiate between the recruitment as well as selection. But please understand, students, you need to know all these parameters. Then only you can easily differentiate between them. Okay. So the first parameter in which I can differentiate recruitment and selection is sequence. Then the second one is objective. Number 3 is process. Number 4 is methods. Number 5 is service contract. And last but not the least is called result. Okay. So till now, what we have understood? We have understood meaning and concept of selection, right? Then we even understood the objectives of selection. Then we understood the process of selection. Then finally, we understood the difference between the recruitment and selection process. Okay. Now, after understanding all this, we will try to understand the meaning of screening the candidates, or what is the meaning of screening the candidates. Now, what happens, students, when once the pools of applications have been received, the next step that comes into the picture is screening of application, or sometimes we even use the word called as shortlisting of applicants. It involves objectively assessing each application against the essential and desirable criteria set out in the person specification. The key aim in shortlisting should be to draw up a magnifiable list of candidates for the interview for a specified post, all of whom could potentially do the job in terms of their qualifications as well as their experience outlined in their job application form. It is important that shortlisting is done against the criteria set out on the person specification. It is usually done in stages. So the first one would be, we need to check the desirable characteristics. Those who possess all of the desirable characteristics would go forward first. Now, what do you mean by desirable characteristics, students? Now, very important. See, for example, I am looking for my company's sales to increase, right? So I am into the manufacturing of, say, mobile phones. My company is into the manufacturing of mobile phones. But mobile phones are concerned, you all know that there are huge competitors in the market, right? So I am looking for the people or the team to build a team in in North Karnataka, who will increase the sales of my mobile. Now, when my objective is what, increasing the sales of mobile, so obviously what I should be looking in the candidate, the first one is they should be having the knowledge, skills and abilities, right? So when it comes to increasing the sales, what are the things you will be looking from the candidate? You want someone who is talkative, very talkative. You are looking for someone who can convince people. You are looking for someone who is having a pleasing personality. So you are looking for someone who is good in communication. So you are looking for someone who will say okay for everything. Whatever sales they say, you are saying okay for that, right? You are looking for someone who can achieve the target. So you're looking for someone who will have a never who will never get tired for anything, right? So these are some of the parameters you will accumulate. Then you will start your screening process, correct? So you cannot simply select a guy or a girl who is not good in communication when it comes to this particular profession, correct? Now, the second case is concerned. You are looking for someone who is good in programming. So you can become when once you become the HR manager of an IT company, then what is the task in front of you? You need to select someone who is good in Java or .NET or C or C++ or any programming language. So when you come here, are you looking for communication skills? Yes, obviously it is one of the parameter. But the major thing what you are looking in him, the first thing is your problem solving skills, correct? So the guy or a girl should be having a problem solving skills. He should be good in programming. He should be good in analytical skills. He should be good in problem solving skills. So given any problem, he should be in a position to come out with an algorithm or write a program for that. So for him, communication is required, but it is not as much required when it comes to other designation, correct? So screening the candidate, you need to understand the scenario. Based on that, you need to prefix in your mind that these are the characteristics what I'm looking within the candidate. Okay. So the two stages, it is usually done in the stage. The first one is take the desirable characteristics, correct? And the second one is take other aspects into consideration, such as the neatness and the style of the application. So this stage is required only if there are still too many people for the interview. Right, students? So you can see the slide over there. Once the pools of applications have been received, the next step is screening of application or shortlisting of applicants. Now we will try to understand the importance of screening also here in today's class. See, applicant screening can save an organization a substantial amount of time and money. Screening is used to minimize the cost by reducing the number of people assessed by more expensive means such as interviews and technical skills test, right? So screening potential candidates can help to determine if the applicant possess the required knowledge, skills, experience and behavior, or expects a salary that is out of the organization's range, then retains values and expectations that are aligned with those of the organization. So what we are studying now, we are understanding the importance of screening. Then neglecting to utilize initial assessment methods may result in interviewing a variety of unqualified candidates, wasting both the time and the resources of the selection committee. Right. Now, what are the basic principles of screening applications? So all of you by this time know that first recruitment and then selection. Now we are trying to understand the importance of screening, then the principles of screening applications. Well, the first principle of screening application would be you should always be objective. I will explain each point in detail, students. Let me list some of the principles of screening applications first. Okay. Then the second principle would be equality and diversity. Then the third principle of screening applications would be fairness. Then the fourth would be recruitment experience. Now we will try to understand each point in detail. The first one, let me take be objective. Now remember that students, shortlisting involves objectively assessing each applicant against the essential and desirable criteria set out in the person specification. It is very important that recruiter do not let any other aspect of the application influence his decision. So making decisions based on the things such as gaps in service or the fact that an application is handwritten could be seen as discriminatory, right? Then the second principle of screening the application would be equality and diversity. Now, what do you mean by equality and diversity? See, recruiter should have a good understanding of equality and diversity before taking part in the recruitment and selection process. Always be mindful of protected characteristics and stick objectively to the person specification. Refer back to the equality and diversity guidelines if he is uncertain. So where possible, the recruitment panel should be as diverse as possible. If this is really to be really you feel that it is problematic, then you have to seek the HR advice. Then the third principle of screening the application would be fairness. See, recruiter should endeavor to be as fair as possible. If there is a conflict of interest or potential nepotism, he should avoid involvement in the recruitment process. However, there are times when in particular conflict of interest is unavoidable. In such cases, panel members should declare their position, and during assessment of candidates known to them, allow other panel members to assess first before stating an opinion. And the last principle of screening application would be recruitment experience. So it is strongly recommended that a recruiter attend the appropriate recruitment and selection course prior to taking part in a recruitment process. He should also be aware of the guidance of e-recruiter. So during the process, he will receive emails from e-recruiter and HR services to register him on the system and do advise when the advertisement has closed. So he should take the opportunity of the guidance and emails to develop his experience in the recruitment system. Right? So these are some of the important principles of screening applications. So I will stop here. In the next class, I'll be continuing with the techniques of screening applications. So what all we have covered today, let me do a quick revision. So we have understood the objectives of selection, then process of selection, recruitment and selection. We have understood the difference now. That is, these are the parameters on which I can differentiate between the recruitment as well as selection. Then we have even understood, okay, screening the candidates. It's a very important process, right? So if you select the wrong candidate for the right position, then obviously what happens? You cannot extract the work from him, or you cannot expect any productive work from him, due to which what happens, the entire you will be wasting the monetary thing of your organization, the time involved or the cost involved in his training. So everything will be wasted over there. Okay. Then we even understood the principles of screening applications. So in the next class, I will be taking you to the techniques of screening applications. That is application forms, resume, biodata, and CV. So here we will understand what should be the format that has to be followed when it comes to application forms, resume, biodata, and CV. Okay. So with this, students, I will end today's class. Thank you so much for your patience listening. You can exit from the group, students. Thank you so much.